You really think that you can? Like, I just pulled up pictures of viruses. They do not exist.
Yes,
they are not. They are not something that you can see under a microscope.
Viruses exist.
It is something within your body to clean your body. Obviously, it's a thing, but it's not something you look at under a microscope. It's not something you can contract. It's not something you should be scared of. Killing bacteria, killing virus equals killing yourself.
You can see viruses under microscopes.
All right, so find me one and show me.
All right, guys, first ever debate on the show. We got Gavin Mayo versus Harry Paul Davis here today. Give you guys some context. They are friends, but they disagree on a lot, so I think it'll be fun today.
I think it will be.
Agree.
For me.
Let's start off this thing with health, because you guys have totally different viewpoints. You eat McDonald's every day, right?
Well, I mean, for reference, on the way here, I bought 2 slices of pizza from 7-Eleven, a white monster, and a banana bread, and it was delicious.
Well, yeah, they taste great. I'm not saying you can't do that.
But you're more on the nutritional side, right?
Well, I'm more on the side of, again, like I do things that aren't good for me. I smoke cigars. I smoke shisha. I drink alcohol sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody doing that. Everyone does their own. I'm just here to argue the facts of things. So whether I do it or not doesn't really matter. We're just here to talk about, yeah, like you can say that pizza is not good for you. I think we'd all agree with that. So it depends what we are in disagreement with. I don't think eating pizza is bad. So well, I don't think it's good for you, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Like everyone does it, whatever. I've had pizza before.
In terms of longevity, though, do you think that will impact your health in the long run?
No, I don't massively think so, because I'm generally healthy. I go to the gym every day. I mean, maybe when I get older, potentially, but for now, I don't see the issue being as huge where I'd stop doing it and I'd change diet.
Yeah, but you think you're healthy. How do you know you're healthy?
If we go
because you feel good.
If we go to, let's say, a pharmacist tomorrow, and we do one of those machines which measures, muscle mass index, etc., etc.
Don't believe in any of that, though.
How can you not believe in that? There's
a machine to tell you if you're healthy or not.
But there's a clear line between the amount of fat on your body, the amount of muscle on your body.
But you think fat is a bad thing?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, explain to me why, in your opinion, Gavin, that you think that fat is not a bad. I don't think it's obviously not. How
do you soak up industrial toxins in today's day and age? Would you agree that the air quality is terrible and a lot of things we do are terrible for us? How do you...
I feel like all of this...
How do you dispose of those toxins?
I feel like all of this industrial toxin, heavy metals and vaccines, I feel like it's one big psyop. I genuinely believe that...
I think it's a psyop too, in the wrong way.
Well, I think the opposite way. Let's do vaccines, because I feel like that's definitely something that we massively disagree on. Now, for reference, I didn't have the vaccine, but that's more so because I don't like needles. Like I'm not a needle fan.
But you weren't afraid you were going to get sick?
No,
they tell you you're gonna get sick?
I wasn't afraid of a vaccine. No, because you must be vaccinated from when you were a child. You have to have been.
No? Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's why I've been trying to fix my health. But a lot of people, I have cousins that weren't, that feel differently. But let me ask you this: would you drink ether, liquid mercury, formaldehyde? Would you drink those?
No.
So why would you inject it into your body?
Because of the amount. If it's a very, very tiny amount. So the reason that you're getting a vaccine is to prevent you getting a disease, right? Vaccines do work. The reason
it's to cure you of a disease that you've never even gotten before. It's just fear mongering.
That's not the case at all. Measles, mumps, rubella in the UK, massive epidemic. They introduced a vaccine. Measles, mumps, rubella gone. It's known. You can't
Common
argue.
Knowledge.
You can't argue back to every single point. Who told you that? Because then nothing.
I mean, you can't argue that injecting liquid mercury into your body is in any shape, way, or form
in that case, I could say to you, well, I don't believe liquid mercury is in vaccines.
Let's just talk about this. What is a vaccine and why are they created?
Right. Vaccine.
Do you think they're there to cure people?
Vaccines go back to 1796. Edward Jenner, realized that the milkmaids that got cowpox didn't get smallpox. Of course. I know all about it. So therefore, you accept that's a thing. Yeah, you accept that happened or not?
Yeah, of course. But it doesn't mean he's right. It doesn't matter how the vaccine was created. I'm saying, is a vaccine healthy for you? That's all we have to talk about.
Yes.
Is a vaccine healthy for you? So why would you not drink liquid mercury, formaldehyde, ether, all the stuff in vaccines, but you would inject it in your body, whether it's in 0.0001 milligram, kilogram, kilogram, whatever it is, versus drinking it.
Your argument you make to me, where's the proof that liquid mercury is in vaccines?
What do you mean? It's known. I can name.
You just said that I can't use points that are known either. So in that case, it's
not a thing where it's like, oh, measles is an epidemic. That's just someone's opinion.
So you believe that you believe vaccines as a whole should not exist? Nobody should be vaccinated when they're born. We should just be left.
100%.
That's ridiculous.
There's nothing more toxic that you can inject in your human body than vaccines. Autism is caused by vaccines. Disease is caused by vaccines. Why did you not get the vaccine if you're so nervous about it?
I'm not nervous about it. I don't like needles.
Oh, you just don't like needles. So a lot of people, they got it because what is the most profitable thing in the world? Making someone get something that they don't need and fearing them into it. If I told a person on the street right now, listen, if you do not drink this formaldehyde, mercury, and ether, you're going to die. They might, okay, give it to me. But if I tell them, hey, drink this liquid mercury, they might be like, I'm good. But if you fear people into doing something and then you make them pay you for it, that's all it is. It's the same thing with rabies. Rabies doesn't exist. It's all vaccines. It's money to give to these vaccine companies. It's $100 billion a year industry for rabies vaccines for dogs and cats. You are forced. I don't even have an animal, but I know, and my girlfriend has an animal and all this stuff. You are forced to get your dogs and cats vaccinated in the U.S. Why would they do that?
If you look down a microscope now, okay, at the rabies virus, okay, you look down, you see it there. You don't believe that's
virus. You cannot catch a virus. It's not alive. It's the same thing if I put whatever trigonosis parasite or they exist.
You cannot catch a virus.
No, you cannot. Have you ever seen a virus? They're all AI.
Yeah.
No.
AI generated.
You've never seen one under a microscope. You've seen bacteria under a microscope.
You can.
A virus.
Can also, if you have a
virus is not alive.
You can see a virus.
There is no.
What about
I can Google right now.
Let's
just check here. Let's Google this right now.
So you believe you can't? Viruses don't exist in your opinion.
Virus.
Picture of a virus.
Picture. That's weird. Do any of these look like something that you see under a microscope? This is all AI generated.
Well,
what the is this?
Type in under a microscope. That probably is from a microscope.
No.
You don't believe that you can catch viruses?
No, I don't. They're not alive.
There's not even really a comeback to that because it's such a ridiculous
People think
point.
that bacteria and viruses equals bad. Bacteria and viruses equals good in my eyes. It is good for your body. It is the soap to clean your body. When you throw up in a petri dish and you take it to a lab, there's going to be heavy metals, toxins, industrial chemicals in that throw up. When you get sick, it is not bad. You are not catching something. You cannot catch a cold. You cannot catch the flu. You cannot catch this disease. It is all based off of industrial toxins. How would you explain?
Let's say person next to you has a cold. Next week you have a cold.
Same way as two trees. Leaves fall off one tree at the same time as the other. You could argue the same thing when everyone was sick with why was every single person in the world not sick at the same time? Oh, because I cough on someone.
You can transmit a disease.
So if it was true for one, why would it not be true with all? My girlfriend had and I didn't catch and I was kissing her. So why did I not catch?
Because it's not the same with every person. It only transmits sometimes. That's common knowledge, though, Gavin.
I don't believe that you can catch a virus. I don't believe you can catch bacteria. I don't believe they're bad for you. That's the whole point that I'm making, is this whole thing is constructed, whether they're doing it for profit or they're doing it just because they're wrong. Because remember, germ theory wasn't a thing until, I don't know, maybe 200 years ago.
When you look under a microscope and you see, let's say, bacteria, okay?
I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying it's not harmful, and I'm not saying that it is not in your body. Let's take salmonella, for example. I eat raw chicken. Everyone's like, but salmonella, you might die. You have salmonella in your gut right now. If you throw up in a petri dish, we can do the little science thing. We can go to a lab and you will have salmonella in that throw up somewhere along the lines. Whether it's a lot or a little, salmonella is a good thing. It helps your body, helps digest things. It's not a bad thing. And when you get sick and you have diarrhea, that's not bad. That is your body's way of soaping and detoxing and cleaning the body out. The more sick you get and the more often you get sick means you're probably unhealthy and you need to detox more often. People didn't get sick thousands of years ago. Let's just say Black Death, for example, this big disease that happened. Do you know why Black Death happened? Not because they caught it, because people started heating their house with coal. That's it.
What?
Industrial chemicals, and then people started to detox because of it, and they called it a disease. It's all just one giant
the problem we have here, right? Okay, so what you've just said there is an opinion. My opinion on the Black Death would be,
yeah, we both have opinions on it. I'm just thinking about it logically.
My opinion on the Black Death would be it was a disease caused by fleas that were on rats, on cats, and dogs, and then everybody caught the disease. The problem that we've got with this debate as a whole is that, I mean, I could say anything. I could say the Black Death was caused by, I don't know, a magical wizard.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about logic. We're just arguing logic and reason.
But the logic
You really
is,
think that you can, like, I just pulled up pictures of viruses. They do not exist.
Yes,
they are not.
Gavin,
They are not something
Gavin.
that you can see under a microscope.
viruses exist.
It is something within your body to clean your body. Obviously, it's a thing, but it's not something you look at under a microscope. It's not something you can contract. It's not something you should be scared of. Killing bacteria, killing virus equals killing yourself.
You can see viruses under microscopes.
All right, so find me one and show me.
Those pictures you just showed there, 3D images of viruses. Let's go. Go on. Let's resort to Google if we're going to be doing that.
I mean, we don't have to resort to Google, but
no, I
these.
will.
Well, does this look like it's under a microscope?
Let's see. Virus under microscope.
This definitely isn't, but
Thank you.
I mean, you can check up. This doesn't necessarily prove or disprove my point or your point.
There we go.
I'm just saying.
Okay, not AI generated. Virus under an electron microscope.
Is that a virus? Or is that just a picture coming up on Google?
But it's a point. This is a pointless debate.
That could be a bacteria. I don't know the specific one. And is that something that's harmful? That's the point I'm making. And that's what I'm talking about. You're saying viruses are harmful and you need to be taking a vaccine. There's nothing more toxic for you than injecting something into your body that you do not need. It's all for profit. That's my first point. And my second point is you do not have to fear viruses. You don't have to fear bacteria. Go play in the mud. Let your kids cough on each other and get sick, whatever. It's good for them. Those are my 2 points. So what do you disagree with those 2 points?
I disagree on the fact that certain diseases require vaccines because they are especially dangerous, okay? That is a fact. As I link back to what I said before, measles in the UK.
Is it a fact? Or is that just what doctors tell you?
Measles in the UK killed millions of children. That's a known fact. I know people.
Well, so does cancer. It kills millions of people. And cancer comes from industrial toxins. So does every disease. It is all caused by the body detoxing. If you have an inability to discard those dead cells, they will accumulate, you will get sick, and you will die.
So millions of kids were dying in the UK of measles. Measles vaccine. Now they're immune to measles. Now it's not a thing anymore. And they're not dying anymore. So logic
it's the same thing as Black Death. It can move on to another disease. Now they're saying that whatever, the flu could just be Black Death.
Logic would dictate that the virus, because we're both logical here, logic would dictate that the virus, okay, is no longer a thing because everyone's vaccinated against it, okay? And that now
who said it's no
kids
longer a
dying.
thing? Doctors with vaccines, they say it's now. Thank you for the vaccine. Now you're going off of just common knowledge from the medical industry. That's all you're going off of. I'm telling you that I disagree with everything within the medical industry. So again, it goes back to the point.
But you don't have any facts to back it up. This is.
Well, I just
opinions.
told you a fact. Would you drink liquid mercury, ether, and detergent? That's what's in a vaccine. That is a fact. If you want to go find out, I will bet you whatever you want to bet.
What's in a vaccine? A vaccine, by design, okay, as it was created, hundreds of years ago, it's a very small amount of the disease or a weakened version.
I know how vaccines work.
Going on about liquid mercury, it's just bollocks. It simply is.
Okay, is liquid mercury in vaccines, yes or no?
I don't know.
Okay, I do know, and it's a yes. If you think no, then we're not ever going to agree. It is not healthy. On to the next point. What was the other point that you disagree with that I'm wrong about? That bacteria and viruses are dangerous. I don't believe they're dangerous. So we can go off and talk on all these different topics and go off on a tangent and different things. Vaccines are dangerous. That's my stance. Bacteria and viruses are not dangerous. That's my stance. So what do you disagree? We already the vaccine we're not going to agree on.
Let's go one of the most dangerous. The Ebola virus, right? Okay, literally causing people to start bleeding from their eyes and.
You mean one person that caught the Ebola virus in the U.S. and made everyone freak out about some crazy disease coming and killing you?
It was in Africa. There's no disputing that.
Maybe. Same thing as AIDS.
Which is still in the US and in Africa. Or do you believe in AIDS?
I believe AIDS was created by the government to kill gay people.
Oh my God.
On to the next topic.
It's hard to have an argument about.
It's hard, but it sounds like I'm saying crazy stuff. But again, this is all a lot of your thinking is just based off of common knowledge and the medical industry that I just disagree with. And we can go around the rosy for hours. Yeah, but do you really believe in the whole science thing and the stuff? I don't believe in that stuff. You think that me saying I don't believe in science is crazy, but all this science crap, they say science tells you that a vaccine is good for you. I don't believe that. And I think
it's whoever's your opinion.
It's the same thing with science. They can say that cigarettes are good for you, like they did in the 1930s. And then 30 years later, it comes out it's actually bad for you. It's the same thing happening right now with the vaccine. It's all the same. The same ingredients are in the vaccine. Actually, pre-2000 vaccines had even more liquid mercury. So if you're taking the vaccine, you're taking the same vaccines you had pre-2000. It's all the same. All vaccines are bad. I would hope you would agree on that, and most people in the audience would. I don't think that's anything too crazy. And viruses and bacteria, I don't think are dangerous. So if you disagree with that, I guess on to the next point. We probably won't make much way on there.
Do you want to conclude, or do you want to go on to the next one?
Yeah, I believe that. Look, okay, what you're saying about the vaccine, etc., it's isolated cases. Okay, somebody took the vaccine, they got ill. But you could say that with anything. You could say somebody ate raw meat and then they became but you're going to say that's a good thing, of course. But
well, it's not necessarily isolated cases. It's the fact that they injected themselves with toxic elements. That if I went to you on the street instead of drink it, you would never do it. But people are injecting their body, whether it's 0.001 grams or 0.1 grams. It's all toxic. It is so hard to get mercury out of the human body. Now, that's what I've been doing the past 2 years, is actually removing all of these heavy metals that I got vaccinated as a child and through different foods and just whatever, just growing up, chlorine.
So how is your heavy metal content at the moment? How do you test it? Do you blood tests or what?
I don't need to blood test it. It's you'll just know from getting sick. You know from feeling better. I mean, in the first couple of months of the diet, I felt terrible, but you just have to trust in the process, and you have to look at other people's results within the community, and that's all it is. We don't.
Yeah, but you're not basing it on anything. You're basing it on.
I'm basing it on how I feel,
feeling. Exactly,
and how other people have done
so
it, and how other people have been cured.
Mercury content could be your mercury
autism
content could be extremely high. No, you don't know because you never tested for it. No, am I right in saying that you've never tested for your heavy metal mercury content?
I don't believe in blood tests.
Okay.
None of this stuff is crazy. If you believe that, yeah, every single time you get a blood test, all this stuff is going to tell you your chronological age and your testosterone, all this. Your blood constantly changes. Constantly changes. You cannot test it in a smart manner and make any sense of it. It's all crap. It's all just, everything's for profit at the end of the day.
Right, on to the next point.
Okay. So I have 9/11 here, but you guys actually agree on that one,
yeah,
right?
we both agree on 9/11.
So what's your stance, just so people watching this can know it?
It was just a terrorist attack.
So nothing malicious?
No.
Okay.
Same thing with the whole Netanyahu stuff happening now. No government would risk up their reputation and causing a potential civil war over killing. Like, you really think George Bush is sitting there like, oh, yep, let's kill all these people in a tower?
Ridiculous.
Like, people are just retarded.
Okay. Any other conspiracies you guys actually believe in, though?
Oh, I believe in a ton of conspiracies. I mean, people call them conspiracies, but actually, to be honest, I think 99% of conspiracies on the internet are retarded. But yeah, I mean, I believe in different things that people don't really call conspiracies. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, what are common conspiracies that I would argue is wrong? I'm trying to think. What's a conspiracy? I don't know. What do people talk about?
Holocaust not being real?
I don't think the Holocaust isn't necessarily real. It definitely happened, but we're not going to talk about this.
No?
No,
we'll skip over that one.
That's a deep one. Yeah, what are some common ones? We talked about flat Earth. I mean, that's one.
Yeah, that's boring.
Government programming.
Yeah, so I don't think there's people sitting in a room around a table like, oh yeah, let's create and make them submissive, and there's not some person that runs the world. Everyone's like, oh, the Rothschilds run the world. The Rothschilds don't run anything. They just own a few wineries in France, and everyone thinks they're running the world and puppet stringing.
I agree.
The people that run the world is this: Ken Griffin. He writes all the options, puts, and call contracts, and Larry Fink. Those two people run the world. That's simple. And the feds. That's it.
Not George Soros.
George Soros is one of them. Those people are the top of the top people.
There's
But they don't sit
no
there.
Illuminati.
They don't sit there, and they're not Illuminati. They're not with people. They're just the richest people in the world, and they get anything they want. Larry Fink wants to tax Bitcoin at 80%. Done. They can do what they want when they want.
I feel up.
But they're not sitting there like with the population.
Religion, where do you guys stand there?
I'm not religious whatsoever. Don't know about you.
I'm religious in a different way than a lot of people would think. I grew up super strict Catholic, but I do believe there is some God somewhere along the line. And as a logical person, it would be stupid to not believe in God. The only logical thing would be to believe in it and follow his teachings, because you have everything to lose by not believing it, but everything to gain by believing in it. So let's just say God doesn't exist and you did all of his teachings, and there's nothing to lose. But let's say God does exist and you don't do his teachings and you have everything to lose. So you might as well just follow his teachings.
See, I disagree on that, obviously, because in the industry I'm in, it probably is, as you would say, as everyone loves to quote on Twitter, against God's teachings. So, I mean, I'm
not saying you have to go to church and like dress up in a Pope outfit, but if you're just a good person and don't ever commit a moral sin, then probably will go to heaven if there's a heaven, and that's all you need to do in life. People get too much into this whole like religion thing, especially these like Palestinian, Israel, Catholic. It's just all like they're just all so annoying.
Some of them are cult-like, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just a cult like anything else.
So would you label yourself as atheist?
I'd say so. I don't feel overly strongly. I mean, in my opinion, people can believe what they want. Of course, it's a fucking free country at the end of the day. And I guess the teachings of religion are generally a good thing. You know, okay, treat others as you would like to be treated. You know, be a generally good person, be an upstanding citizen. Personally, I don't believe that there is a God, but I mean, I'm not going to go around telling people not to follow it because of my own personal beliefs. At the end of the day, the teachings are there, and I guess they're a good way to live your life. So if you want to live like that.
And you'll probably change your mind.
For sure.
And I'll probably change my mind, and everyone will probably change their mind throughout time. I mean, some people don't believe in God till they're 50. So people look too much into it. Have your own faith. As long as you just do good, it doesn't matter if you believe in them or not.
The religion argument's kind of boring, to be fair.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Let's talk dating, because you're both in your 20s, young 20s, both self-made millionaires. Do you guys have similar views with dating?
Well, you go first.
Well, what's your view on dating?
I obviously don't have a girlfriend right now. I mean, it would be good to find. We do actually have a fairly, because we were discussing this in car yesterday. I mean, if I'm going to find somebody to date kind of long term, it would be ideal if that person, you know, had never been with anyone else, whatever. But I do believe that the whole like red pill space of, oh, I can only marry a virgin, it's becoming ridiculous. And what you also find is nowadays that
they don't even believe that though.
The guys that do believe that now, because they've been preached about it by certain figures on the internet, you're going to have, you know, 90% of guys eventually, oh, I'll only marry a virgin. And you know, there's supply and demand.
I mean, basically all these red pill guys on Twitter and all the tight suit guys that talk about the brotherhood and smoke cigars, they're all losers for the most part, and all their girlfriends are ugly. So the issue is these people are coming from a place of they have no experience, or they have ugly wives, or whatever it is. I mean, whatever. Let's just put looks out the window. I mean, a lot of these guys are. It's like those memes where it's like, yeah, when the bitches show up at the party, they're like a lot of those guys are like that. They like to talk a big game, and then you know you're like, well, that girl's hot. Go talk to her. And they're like, oh, so yeah. I mean, as far as dating and everything, I think the whole just going around and a bunch of chicks is kind of retarded, and there's no point. Why would you a bunch of fours? And you should mainly just be trying to find someone to raise your kids, and you should try to have as many kids as possible, whether that's with 10 women or 1 woman or whatever. People each their own, but yeah, you should have as many children as possible, because when you die, no one will care about you except for your family. So
it's more from a time perspective, really. If you're spending all of your time going around sleeping with different women, whatever, it's just.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that too, if you like it.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not going to be as focused on your business, you know.
Yeah, but if you're rich, who cares? I know guys that just come from rich families that there's nothing to worry about, and they'll just like 100 chicks a year and go to Russia and go to Brazil, and just that's their life. It's like easy a hobby. Same thing as like if your hobby is racing cars or gambling, like it's just what they do. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I would say a lot of these guys, they try to act so cool, like, oh, your girlfriend should be a virgin, but there probably is some truth to it that as a guy, you shouldn't go around and have like a 30 body count, 50 body count. Like you should only probably have a body count with people that are, you know, real and that you actually love and whatever.
I don't believe in what you said about the the DNA remaining though. That was a wild statement.
How's that wild?
Because we're gonna have to go back to the whole scientific element, right? Let's take IVF, right? You know what that is, obviously. So you have an egg, okay? You have the sperm.
It's not natural.
One sperm fertilizes the egg. There you go. You have the child. There's absolutely no anything to back up what you're saying about DNA being mixed in.
It's a known thing. People talk about it all the time.
I know people talk about it, but there's nothing to back it up.
I mean, what's there to back up that it isn't true?
Because you can look at it under a microscope. You can see it with your own eyes.
So again, you're going back to the whole science argument and doctors telling you this and that. It's just if a guy sprays his DNA inside of a woman, it will stay within the mucous membranes. It's the same thing if you sprayed some in your body. It's going to stay there if it's meant to stay there. Your body's not going to reject it, especially one of the one things that give you life. It's not going to reject that sperm. It's going to stay in there.
You can watch it happen. If we went to an IVF,
I mean, just ask your mom. Say, hey, mom, like,
happen.
how many guys you dated? What'd they look like? And then look at your dad and be like, like, why does he have blonde hair and blue hairs and I have different features?
Yeah, but that's so situational because you could look exactly like your parents.
It's just an interesting theory. I mean, obviously, it's the same thing as flat Earth. It's not something we can know 100% for sure, but I do believe that telogamy? It's called telogamy. You can look it up, do your own research, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But a lot of these things, I think it's kind of hard to even debate about. Because
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's one of those subjective things, right? Now, one of you does believe in evolution and the other one doesn't. So that's something we can debate, though.
Oh, you believe that we came from monkeys?
Yeah.
And that dinosaurs and all this stuff exists?
Yeah. Well, you told me last how many years do you think humans have been around for?
I don't know, maybe 10,000 years.
How we can't really debate this though, because you think one thing, I think there's no way of proving either one.
When was evolution introduced into society?
Well, in the era of Charles Darwin, so around the 1800s.
No, 1959. There was zero evolution talked about in schools. Then the space
We're
race started.
talking about in schools. The book was written.
I'm just talking
in the
about general.
1800s.
No one 100 years ago thought we came from monkeys. Charles Darwin was one person, and he was known for being a nutcase. Now, if you look at when it was actually introduced into society, 1959, during the space race, obviously, if you want people to be on board with the space race, then you want to take religion out of things. And this is also when people started having premarital sex and drugs started coming into
Where
society.
do you believe humans came from?
Well, if
Originally.
you look in nature, it's very common and a lot of patterns are very common. So there's probably a common creator. So humans probably came from, whether it's you believe it's God or something. It's kind of a weird question to answer, but I don't believe that we started off as this microscopic thing, and then we grew into a tadpole, and then we were in the ocean, and then we were a shark, and then we became a monkey, and then
But
dinosaurs.
someone could argue that's more logical than there being a so-called creator. If you
How is
have
that
a
logical?
because it makes more sense than there being a creator, in my opinion.
I don't
scientific
believe there's a
argument
Big
again.
Bang. I don't believe that we're traveling thousands of miles through space. That's just something that just doesn't make sense to me. I think humans have been around, for 5,000-10,000 years.
Interesting.
What about the ancient civilizations that they teach about?
That's fine. They're like Egypt, 5,000 years. Maybe when Jesus was born, you can go back and you can see coins made then, all that stuff. And again, you can look at fossils and all that stuff, but is that from 10 million years ago, 70 million years ago, 100? Oh yeah, this fossil is from 60.25 million years ago. Think about it. How can you actually know that exists? And the first dinosaur ever sold in auction was sold for $1 million. So it's probably one of those things just started as profit, just like anything else that I'm arguing.
Do you believe dinosaurs existed?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys differ.
I believe
there.
giants existed, and then they talk about that within the Bible as well. So those
Sorry?
bones that you find.
As in, like, giant humans. We're talking
yeah.
about here. Okay.
100%.
Interesting.
I also believe humans used to live to 900 plus years old.
That's a hot take.
I mean, it's not really. I mean, Noah in the Bible, no, they talk about it in the Bible. Noah lived to be 900 plus years old, and they say life expectancy is going up, but it's actually going down. You can go to obituaries. Again, I think I post this on Twitter. You can go on Google right now, go into obituaries. Again, I don't like to use Google as a source, but go into obituaries from London in the 1500s and see people that live to 200, 300 years old. Now, today, no one's going to do that because of all the industrial toxins and the 5G and just terrible world as far as health-wise. But if you lived in a society with none of that stuff existing and you ate completely healthy, humans could probably live to a couple hundred years old, maybe 500 plus, 1,000 plus, whatever it is. Just like animals in the ocean with no toxicity live to the Greenland shark, 500 years old apparently, whether they can measure that or not. But yeah, I believe
now there's
that life
microplastics.
expectancy is going down.
Yeah, now there's microplastic in the ocean, which you don't believe in, right? Microplastics.
No, I don't believe that's a thing.
I think it is. What do you think?
Microplastics, like plastic in the ocean?
Like plastic water bottles.
Well, yeah, obviously plastic in the ocean. Yeah, but
Okay,
I believe microplastics are a thing. I just feel that drinking from a plastic bottle isn't a
Okay, so what is water?
fucking crazy.
Let's talk science. What's water?
H2O.
No, it's a solvent. So what does a solvent do? It leaches. And what would plastic sitting in a bottle do over time? It would leach.
I agree. No, I agree. Microplastics
yeah,
are a thing.
plastic-
Don't get me wrong, but I feel like the effects of drinking the microplastics or whatever.
So you don't feel like drinking plastic is in any what way every single day for, let's just say, your whole entire life, 50 years, 60 years, is going to be harmful to you in any what way?
Not particularly, no.
I don't know what to tell you about that then.
It's the same argument of you saying that humans
Same thing
used
with
to live to 1,000
vaccines.
years or vaccines. It's personal.
Yeah, I mean, I can't change your mind on that. Same thing with vaccines. Like, I would say that's unhealthy. I would say plastics are unhealthy, but I guess that's just opinion. Next.
That's one of those things you'd have to have a health scare for it to kick in, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, man. When you're 40 or something, you'll probably like, your doctor will tell you you have like gallbladder cancer, and you'll like call me up and be like, I don't want to go to the hospital and get chemo. I mean,
I don't think that'll happen.
no, anything's possible.
You guys talk about politics at all, or you stay away from it?
Don't think we ever really have. I don't know enough about US politics. I'm not. I'm not.
I
US.
just hate like all groups of people, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, they're all just idiots.
Right wing.
But yeah, I'm right wing. Like I love Trump. That's all I really like. I don't like really any other Republicans. Like Trump, for him to win the election, I think some things are going to have to happen. But yeah, Trump's a beast. That's all I know.
We'll end off with how we ended yours, Gavin. Arm gets chopped off. What are you guys doing?
Probably going to a hospital and getting my arm stitched up or reattached, if that's a logical option.
Probably the worst thing you could do. I'll probably
Of course, Gavin. What would you do?
I'll douse it in alcohol, kill all the bacteria that's there to make the wound better.
Sterilize the wound. Yeah, it was generally.
Again, let me just come back to the idea of, is bacteria bad for you? That bacteria is what's going to be
Well,
rebuilding
it's really
your body.
it's an argument of science against what you believe.
Well, what you're believing in is not science. What you're believing in is medical industry.
So what would you
There's a
do
difference.
if the arm gets chopped off?
I would put butter, honey, and raw meat on it.
So you would take a steak or whatever and you would strap it to your chopped off arm.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like
That's the best way to heal it. How would putting alcohol on it and them giving you a bunch of drugs heal it?
How would putting raw meat on it heal it?
Well, raw meat's natural. Why would you? It's just like ingesting anything and using stuff in your hair and all this. I would never. If you can't eat it, don't put it on your body. So that's all I would do. Butter, honey, they have a bunch of enzymes and bacteria to rebuild the skin, and I've seen it happen with other people, and that's basically what I would do.
So, Harry, would you say you are pro Western medicine?
Yes, I'd say generally medicine is a positive thing.
Okay.
I think medicine is what's killing everyone, and it's all for profit. There's nothing more profitable than telling people that you need to take a pill to something that doesn't exist, and that's how I believe these companies are making billions of dollars.
So what if you joking aside, if you caught a terrible disease, let's say you caught, I don't know, well you don't believe it exists, but let's say you become very, very unwell.
I would do exactly what I'm doing now and go even harder with the diet.
Right.
So you would fix it holistically, rather you would take a pill for it. That's
okay, so let's say I have cancer. Say somehow a doctor figured out I had cancer, and I go in and they say, okay, you need to do chemo.
Mm-hmm.
What is chemo? Do you know what chemo does?
Yeah, it kills cells.
Kills cancer cells. But it also kills every other cell around it. So again, this goes back to the argument. Cancer is not a bad thing. It is a soap to clean up your body. What is cancer in the medical sense, if you want to talk medical? An inability to discard dead cells. When you can no longer discard those dead cells, they accumulate into a tumor and you get disease and you die if it gets too much. If I had cancer, I would allow my body to discard dead cells, eat the best foods possible, and myself just like 300 plus other people did before this man created the diet and that I follow.
Okay,
and I have a friend in real life that himself with cancer.
Those 300 plus people as well, I'm not saying that, but what about the millions of people that have also been with cancer with chemo?
Maybe they didn't have it that bad to begin with. Everyone has cancer inside them right now. Cancer cells is in everyone. So maybe the doctor just fearing them, making them, trying to get them to do chemo, telling them they have cancer even though they feel fine. They go and they do the chemo and then they come out and they're like, yep, you're good now. Hey, they never even had it bad to begin with. Going to a medical institute and doing chemo is the worst possible thing you can do if you have cancer. I mean, I know multiple people that have themselves from the diet, all with 100% success rate.
Well, what if they didn't have cancer? Because if that's an argument you're making.
And they felt terrible and they could barely walk and they were looking frail and could barely eat.
So we'll finish on this. So your point is, if you have cancer, you feel terrible, you're in a really bad way, the solution is to drink raw milk, eat raw meat,
100%.
Lather yourself in butter, etc., etc.
100%.
Cool.
If you just eat healthy, you will no longer accumulate dead cells and you will be fine. It's 100% success rate.
100% success
Bro,
rate.
I would love, this is actually, I mean, this is why I want to do someday. I want to open up my own village and my own clinics. And to be honest, I don't even want to talk about this on air because who knows, like, I hope this doesn't go viral. Like, you understand how profitable the cancer institutes are and all these medical institutes.
Of course, yeah.
If I did even start a clinic and actually was people and made it public, then I don't know. This, you know, the guy that I followed the diet from was killed. He fell off his balcony, which just doesn't happen. Like, who falls off their balcony and dies? They broke into his house, vaccinated him twice, and he's not the type of guy to lie about it. He's a very honorable guy. He was people for 30 years. And he's also not like one of those, he wasn't like selling anything. He wrote in his books, he talked about countless scenarios. They tried to cut his brakes on his car. They broke into his house and vaccinated him. He finally died when he fell off his balcony. He was people of cancer, and he was going against pharmaceutical companies like crazy. He was going against the government with the raw milk ban. He was going crazy. So to be honest, yeah, I mean, I would love to do it someday, get 100 people round up and show that I could every single person with cancer if they actually follow what I do. And they do it down with the Gerson Institute, even though I don't agree with what they do. There's a Gerson Institute, I think, in Mexico. They just eat a bunch of fruits and vegetables like freaks. But it is better than going into some chemotherapy. So there already are institutes that help people more than if you were to get chemo. If you take 100 people and you had them get chemo, a lot of them would die. Some of them, sure, which just means maybe the cancer went away and it would have went away on its own anyways. And you take 100 people and you do it my way, all 100 people would survive on my end. I would love to do like some type of bet or like something would be sick.
Oh,
like,
I would put
You
good
should
money on it.
hit up Mr. Beast.
but it's hard. It's kind of hard. It's one of those things that's hard to do because it counts on the person too. Someone could just be too far gone and they just don't listen. Like this guy, Argenis, that was of cancer. A few did slip away and died because they didn't listen. They weren't eating, or they said, screw the diet. They started getting chemo and then they did die and they didn't listen. But if you follow everything completely, like I have multiple people and I have a one really good friend of mine that we met through the diet, and he literally, doctor said he was going to die, had 3 months to live. All he did was eat raw meat, raw milk, had like 3 different types of bone cancer. Now he's completely fine. He's even more autistic than me on the diet. And I guess I would follow what I see in the world and what things around me than trust some doctor that, it's just like surgery. They want to always operate on you. They make money. The doctor doesn't care about you. They want money. Now, maybe some doctors are doing it to help, or they think they're helping. My sister's a doctor. She's a moron. And she's vegan. But I got her to start drinking raw milk, and she feels better, so.
Small mercies.
How do you feel about dentists? Because we know Gavin's not a fan of dentists.
I mean, I've always
like a doctor.
I've never had any dental issue. I mean, I've got veneers now, admittedly. I don't know how you feel about them, but I mean, I've always brushed my teeth. My teeth have been fine. I've never had a cavity or anything at all.
Well,
So you'd agree that dentists are. Do you even go to the dentist?
I've been a couple of times for checkups, but I mean, if you generally keep your teeth clean, you won't get cavities.
I would agree with that, yeah. I mean, I don't need to brush my teeth to keep them clean. I just don't have to eat foods and don't have to ruin my enamel on my teeth. If you don't have a lack of fat, you cannot get a cavity. It's impossible for me to get a cavity. And I have perfect teeth, and I've never got braces or anything. And I'm beautiful.
well, we'll end it there then. It's hard to end on a better note than that, guys. Thanks for coming on. That was the first debate. Comment below who you guys think won.